You're told honesty is strength. Say what you feel. Explain your intentions. Clear the air. And yet, if you're paying attention, something feels off. The people who explain themselves the most are rarely the ones taken seriously. They're listened to, sometimes, appreciated, occasionally, but respected, not really. And that's confusing, because honesty feels like it should work. It feels clean, moral, adult. So when it quietly backfires, most people don't question the rule. They question themselves. Maybe I said it wrong. Maybe I wasn't clear enough. Maybe I need to explain better next time. That's the trap, because the issue was never clarity. It was psychological position. Here's the uncomfortable part. Honesty is not neutral. It broadcasts information about how you see yourself in the hierarchy, whether you mean it to or not. And most people are honest in a way that unintentionally places them below the listener. They disclose too early. They justify too quickly. They reveal motives that were never requested, not because they're weak, but because they were taught that transparency equals trust. It doesn't, at least not at first. There's a social law most people only learn after being quietly dismissed enough times. Respect does not come from access to your inner world. It comes from containment. People respect what feels deliberate, measured, non-reactive. When you immediately explain yourself, you remove tension. And tension, psychologically, is what signals weight. Think about it. When someone talks less, you lean in. When someone clarifies everything, there's nothing left to discover. And the mind equates discoverability with value. This is where honesty quietly works against you. Because most honesty is reactive. It shows up as, I just want you to know I didn't mean it that way. Let me explain where I was coming from. I'm being honest here. None of these statements are wrong, but they reveal something subtle, a need to be understood now. And neediness, even moral neediness, collapses authority. Here are 4 laws to follow if you want to preserve authority. Law 1, honesty offered too early is interpreted as insecurity, not integrity. Most people think honesty builds trust. Psychologically, trust builds after respect, not before. When you give someone full access to your thoughts, intentions, and emotions without them earning it, you invert the order. You're saying, please see me clearly so you don't misjudge me. That sounds reasonable, but the listener hears something else. They hear uncertainty. Watch how people with quiet authority handle this. They're not dishonest. They're not deceptive. They're selective. They don't rush to correct misunderstandings. They don't defend every accusation. They don't narrate their inner state. They let interpretation exist. And here's the paradox. The less they explain, the more people assume depth. Law 2. The mind fills silence with meaning. When you explain yourself, you remove ambiguity. When you don't, the other person does the work. And the mind tends to fill gaps upward. We assume complexity. We assume intention. We assume strength. This is why over-honesty often lowers perceived status. Not because honesty is bad, but because timing is everything. Think about a simple example. Two people are criticized in a meeting. One immediately says, I want to be honest, that wasn't my intention. Let me explain what happened. The other pauses, nods, says nothing. Who feels more grounded? Who feels like they need approval less? Who feels harder to shake? It's not about right or wrong. It's about psychological center of gravity. Law 3. Respect flows toward the person least disturbed by misunderstanding. If you are calm while being misread, the assumption becomes, they know something I don't. If you rush to fix perception, the assumption becomes, they're afraid of how they're seen. Again, not morally, psychologically. This is where people start to get uncomfortable, because it feels manipulative. It feels like withholding, but it isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling your relationship to validation. Honesty that comes from strength doesn't rush. It waits. It doesn't say, please understand me. It says, understanding will come when it's relevant. Law 4. Honesty is powerful only when it's optional. If you need to explain, it weakens you. If you could explain, but don't, it stabilizes you. That's the difference. People who command respect are not more honest. They're less dependent on being understood. And something strange happens when you stop over-explaining. People start asking questions. They lean in. They seek clarity from you. Now honesty lands differently. Now it feels intentional, chosen, grounded, not defensive. By the end of this, the shift is quiet. You're no longer trying to be seen accurately at all times. You're letting your actions, timing, and emotional control speak first. Honesty becomes a tool, not a reflex. And here's the final paradox. The moment you no longer need honesty to earn respect is the moment your honesty actually carries weight, because it's no longer trying to prove anything. It's just there, calm, measured, undeniable. That's the difference most people never notice, until they do. Here's a reminder of the tiny habits you should watch out for, the ones that keep you subjected. You carry the weight of explaining, not failure weight, the restraint of holding back what you want to say, the effort of editing yourself in real time, the identity shaped by needing to be understood before you can rest. It's heavy, and it leaves marks. You never imagined it could be so impactful. And then, almost too late, you notice something simple. Respect doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being felt. You begin to see the difference between needing clarity and allowing mystery. You notice how silence doesn't erase you, it steadies you. People who move through the world with depth don't rush to be decoded. They let the weight of their presence speak before their words do. And that's why honesty, when it finally arrives, carries more than explanation. It carries gravity. So the question lingers. What happens when you stop needing to be understood right away? And this single question, if asked sincerely, marks the moment the shift happens. You're not just someone explaining, you're someone containing. If this reflection stayed with you, subscribe for more ways of seeing.